I may not have had high hopes for this slasher, but I at least thought it would be decent. Hi, my name's Kirsty. I make content about film and horror, so if that's your thing, please hit the follow button. I really appreciate it and it really helps me out. What was this? Was I trying to... Spoiler-free review. Why is that so hard to say? This is like Scottish folk trying to say purple burglar alarm. Here is a spoiler-free review of Fear Street Prom Queen, the latest in the Netflix Fear Street franchise based on the novels by R.L. Stine. I'd imagine many of us have nostalgia for R.L. Stine's Goosebumps series. This film is set in 1988 and it follows Laurie Granger, who's a bit of an outcast at school as she, along with a handful of the more popular girls, campaign for prom queen. And in the lead up to prom, a mass killer begins to take them out. Starting off with the positives, this is a very easy to digest film, specifically for people who haven't seen a lot of horror films, slashers specifically, and it's very, I'd say, self-aware. Like, it knows that it's not taking itself very seriously, so you can kind of forgive a lot of the character choices for the most part. Kinda, I'm being generous here. My main meh comment was that I didn't feel convinced that this was set in the same Fear Street universe. I wasn't looking around at the characters thinking, yeah, you seem like you're from Shadyside. And the whole Sarah Fear lore, folklore was kind of lost. Then again, I've not read the books. There is dozens of them. And this one could, by story design, be very disconnected from the previous films that we've seen. Biggest negative for me, though, was forced 80s nostalgia. Even the culture references just felt very bland. It was like they typed into ChatGPT. What were people wearing? What movies were they liking? What music were people listening to in the 80s? Bosh, in the script. And then we just got the most bland, overplayed stuff that we've seen before, like Sweet Dreams, Sunglasses at Night, banging tunes. But did we really need them in another movie? And it just felt like a bit of a slap in the face considering the treasure trove that is 80s music that you could have potentially picked. You could literally pick up this story and drop it into any time period and it'll play out just the same. It wasn't really essential. Now, like, you've got films like Dead Mail, where that is an 80s film that had to be an 80s film because it's integral to the story points. Whereas this one, they just used it to try and resuscitate a lackluster narrative. Pair that with lore that's paper thin, and I just wasn't fussed, to be honest, about the characters, about the kills, about this underdog character getting the best of the bitchy mean girls. Wasn't fussed. Would I recommend it? I normally say everything's worth a watch once, but genuinely in this case, I don't think so. I think you'd be better off choosing any of the other 3 Fear Street films before this one.